Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're doing some Ancient Gear test hands. So I'm really excited for this one because this deck is a really neat OTK based deck that actually is really old school, all the way back to the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX era, which is really awesome and a very fan favorite deck. And I love playing around with this deck. It's like around with Cyber Dragons as like one of my favorite OTK based machine decks. And it's just a really cool deck overall, with one of the coolest boss monsters of all time, with Ancient Gear Golem, which is very easy to summon in this deck. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below because we have some awesome rewards for you guys, like getting your name in the description for every single video, getting a signed card sent in the mail, or even getting requested deck profile just like this one every single month that you are a patron. And you also get test hands every single month you're a patron as well. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So, this is a really cool deck that basically focuses around getting your Chaos Ancient Gear Giant on your side of the field, or getting your Golems out on your side of the field, along with the new, new-ish, really cool Ancient Gear Ballista, which is an amazing link monster for this deck. Being able to search out Gear Town and then pop the Gear Town and reduce an opponent's monster's attack down to 0 is just really good to help you OTK in this deck. So, we're going to go ahead and shuffle the deck up really quick. I'm going to do a quick pile shuffle as well, just to make sure that the deck is good and mixed up. But this is basically like the OG original OTK based machine deck, along with Cyber Dragons, because Cyber Dragons at the time when this was released was a little bit more consistent, because this deck, I remember back in the day, you'd play like 3 cannon, 3 soldier, 3 golem and stuff like that. And as the deck evolved in Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, they actually released a whole lot more cards for this deck to actually OTK consistently, because it just didn't have what it needed, especially when they redid the what's it called, the structure deck. When they did the reloaded version, it really changed what this deck actually did and functioned properly. It still needs a little bit more support though, in my opinion, because you got to play trains in here a little bit and a little Infinitrax. So let's go ahead and shuffle up the deck really good and see what we can actually pull off in this deck. I'm really excited to show you guys this one. So, we're going to go ahead and draw straight into an old Ancient Gear Golem. How much better can that get? I mean, you draw right into the big boss monster. Catapult, that's one of the best cards to draw in the entire deck. A second Catapult, a copy of Ancient Gear Box, and a copy of Hunting Hound. This is not a terrible hand at all. If you would usually go second in this deck, so if we were going second, we would draw into a Foolish Burial Goods, which would give us a token on our side of the field as well to get directly into a copy of the Chaos Ancient Gear Giant. If you're going second, this is a very simple hand to really think it through. You activate your copy of Foolish Burial Goods. You would send from your deck to the graveyard a copy of your Catapult. The Catapult is not going to really help you out all that much, but you're going to be able to get it in the graveyard to set you up some more plays, which is going to help you out in the long run if you need to OTK your opponent later on. It just kind of thins the deck also, and if you have a face-up card on your side of the field, then you can OTK your opponent a little easier. You would normal summon the Hunting Hound and inflict 600 points of damage to your opponent. And then the Hunting Hound is a walking polymerization. So you could use the Hunting Hound on your side of the field to fusion summon these two monsters that are in your hand to go for a copy of your Ancient Gear Megaton, or you could even go for your Ancient Gear Golem. I would always go for Ancient Gear Megaton first, regardless of how many Ancient Gear Golems I put into this card, because it does have the ability that if it is removed from the field by an opponent's card, regardless of battle, card effect, whatever, that you immediately get to summon a ultimate Ancient Gear Golem. So if you attack your opponent once, twice with this, it's going to do 66 damage. It does have a lot of added bonuses, and if they do get rid of this card, you do get to replace it on your side of the field with a copy of your ultimate Ancient Gear Golem, and then the ultimate Ancient Gear Golem, if it gets removed and destroyed, then you get to play the Ancient Gear Golem from the graveyard, so you have more plays on your side of the field, which is pretty good. So that's a very simple hand where you're just trying to summon a really big machine monster onto your side of the field. It wasn't crazy because we drew 2 copies of Catapult. You usually just want to draw 1 Catapult. If you would have had 1 more Ancient Gear monster in your hand, you would have had an OTK, depending on the amount of monsters your opponent has on their side of the field. Because really in this deck, all you need to do is summon the Chaos Giant, and it's game over for your opponent. That's really all you're focusing around doing. And summoning Ballista, that's why we play stuff like Anchor Drill and your copy of Brutal Dozer in this deck, because you want to normal summon them out to get you an additional machine on your side of the field to link away into your copy of your Ancient Gear Ballista. So we're going to go ahead and shuffle the deck really quick again and see what we can get this time. So For this time, we're going to go ahead and draw into an urgent schedule for going first this time. A copy of Hunting Hound, a copy of Foolish Burial Goods, another Hunting Hound, and a copy of our Ultimate Pound. Now, this is a very simple hand that you're going to be using with this particular combo. Since you have the 2 copies of Hunting Hound, you have basically 2 copies of Polymerization in your hand. I'm going to do something very simple and activate the copy of Foolish Burial Goods. Foolish Burial Goods is going to send our Catapult to the graveyard, which is really your only target that you're going to want to send to the graveyard off of your copy of Hunting Hound. You're not going to want to usually send anything else to the graveyard because this has a graveyard effect to give you a token if you pop a card on your side of the field that is just any card on your side of the field, which is really cool to be able to just pop something and get a token. You're going to want to usually pop like Gear Town or Ancient Gear Fortress or something like that to be able to really resolve and get the most bang for your buck out of your copy of Catapult. So then, once you do that, I would always normal summon out my copy of Hunting Hound, inflict 600 points of damage to my opponent, and then use both of these monsters in my hand if I'm going first to go for Howitzer, because Howitzer is going to be really helpful. Because the Howitzer's effect is that you can, it's unaffected by other card effects, and then during your main phase, you can inflict 1,000 points of damage to your opponent. So you've already done 1,600 points of damage to your opponent just off the copy of your Howitzer and your copy of your Hunting Hound, which is really nice. It also has the ability that this card is destroyed by battle, then you can special summon an Ancient Gear monster from your deck, ignoring its summoning conditions, which can be your Ancient Gear Golem Ultimate Pound, which can get you additional plays. We're then going to go ahead and set the copy of Urgent Schedule, which the Urgent Schedule is going to help us get out 2 more Ancient Gear monsters on our side of the field. Yes, their effects are negated, but that's totally fine because all we have to do is normal summon out our copy of Hunting Hound, and then we've got a copy of Chaos Giant, which is what we're going to do here. So we're letting our opponent go. If they destroy this by battle, we're just going to say they do, because it's only got 1,800 defense. It's usually going to get destroyed. You're going to summon out your copy of the Ultimate Pound, which is usually not going to get taken out. Then, during the end phase, you can activate your copy of your Urgent Schedule, because it has the ability that if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can special summon a level 4 and a level 5 Earth Machine monster, but you can't declare an attack this turn. It's your opponent's turn. You're not going to attack anyways. And then it has the ability that, except for machine monsters. And if this set card on the field is sent to the graveyard, you get to add a level 10 machine monster from your deck. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and special summon out our copy of Reactor Dragon to our side of the field. And then I'm going to summon just any Ancient Gear monster that I feel like I could use on my side of the field that I don't want to get its effect off all that much. I would probably special summon out a copy of Ancient Gear Frame. Frame is probably going to be the way to go to get your monsters out on your field as quickly as possible. Now, keep in mind, once your opponent passes it back to you, you will get to draw for the turn, and you draw into a Foolish Burial Goods. Now, the goods, again, you can activate the goods on your side of the field and send from your field to the graveyard a copy of Ancient Gear Catapult, which, again, would be a lot better of a card if you had on your side of the field a copy of like Gear Town or a copy of your Ancient Gear Fortress, because you could pop that and then special summon an Ancient Gear from the graveyard or from your deck or wherever you need it. Now you can go ahead and normal summon out that copy of Hunting Hound and inflict another 600 points of damage to your opponent, which will be down 22 at this point. Use the copy of Hunting Hound and then go ahead and you can fusion summon these together. Or, instead of fusion summoning together, before you go that far, you can actually use these monsters on your field to link summon and go for a copy of Ballista. So once you go for Ballista, we're going to go ballistic with this field. You can go ahead and search a copy of your Gear Town, which is what we're going to use the Ballista to actually resolve, which is going to help us out quite a lot. If you linked away your copy of Ultimate Ancient Gear Golem instead, we can actually get a True King of All Calamities on the field, which is how you make it in the deck. If you want to make that route, if you want to play a little bit more control base. So you're going to go ahead and activate that copy of Gear Town on your side of the field. Once you activate that copy of Gear Town on your side of the field, you can then immediately go ahead and use your copy of your Catapult. Banish that Catapult. It will give you a token on your side of the field, which we're going to just put this card here representing our token. You're going to go ahead and pop your copy of Gear Town, and then the copy of Gear Town will let you special summon out a Ancient Gear monster, which is your Reactor Dragon from your deck. So now once you special summon out your copy of Reactor Dragon, you can overlay these two monsters and go for a copy of True King of All Calamities. If you want to go for Calamities, they're both level 9, you can go for this monster if you want to go here. Now then you can use your copy of Hunting Hound if you want to be able to fusion summon a copy of an Ancient Gear monster, which is going to help you out quite a lot to go in for a different Ancient Gear monster, because you can use the copy of Hunting Hound and the copy of your token on your side of the field to go like this and go three monsters on your side of the field to go for Megaton. Megaton will only be able to attack once, but you have a lockdown and you have the attack, which is going to help you out a lot. If you want to go a different route, you can actually just use the 4 monsters you had on the field with the Hunting Hound before you even made Ballista to go for your copy of your Chaos Giant, because Chaos Giant will be able to attack your opponent for 44, which will be really helpful to just attack your opponent for 44 with that monster as well. So there's 2 different routes that you can go depending on what kind of field you actually have, which is kind of nice. I like that Ancient Gears can either go for a control-based aspect with your copy of True King if it doesn't get banned on the ban list. If it does, just go the first route. Don't worry about True King. So let's go ahead and see what we can actually do with another test hand. That was a very simple test hand that you can actually pull off to be able to get your copy of your Hunting Hound. Hunting Hound is the big card in this deck. To be able to just normal summon and use it as a fusion material is the big thing that you're going to usually do. You're essentially playing 5 fusion spells in the deck because you have your 3 copies of your Ancient Gear Fusion, and you have your 2 copies of Ancient Gear Fusion, and you have your 3 copies of Hunting Hound, and then an Overload Fusion. And you have your copy of Verte Anaconda. So you have like 7 ways to actually fuse against your opponent, which is really nice. So let's go ahead and do another test hand and see what we can do. So we're going to go ahead and cut the deck really quick and see what we can draw. So we're going to draw into a Catapult, which is again not bad. Our copy of Ultimate Pound, Foolish Burial Goods, our copy of the Express Train, and a copy of Ancient Gear Fusion. So this is a little bit of an awkward hand if we're going first. If we're going second, let's see if we can fix it really quick, and we're going to draw into another Foolish Burial Good. So this is kind of where the deck bricks a little bit, because you can't special summon this, you can't normal summon this, and then this is going to be used to send your Catapult to Graveyard, but you don't have anything that you can go face up. So you really kind of scoop with this hand because this is not a great hand. The only thing that you could really do, you can't even go for Howitzer because it takes 2 Ancient Gear monsters. This is a brick hand, and sometimes it happens with the deck, and that's just a little bit unfortunate. That's why you got to pile shuffle the deck, and why it's really important to pile shuffle your deck every time you duel, because sometimes you will run into hands like that you will brick. And that's why I only play 2 copies of Foolish Burial Goods, is because you really just want to send from your deck to the graveyard the copy of your Catapult, because the Catapult's going to give you a token that you can use as link material, you can use as fusion material, you can use it for whatever you particularly need, which is super helpful for the deck. So let's go ahead and see what we can do with this next hand. There we go. Got everything back together and see what we can do. See, a card that I really want to play at 3 in this deck is Ancient Gear Frame. Like, I really feel like that card is a good 3 of, but I just keep playing it at 2. So let's go ahead and draw. You're going to get a copy of Catapult, Reactor Dragon this time, Terraforming, which is fine because you have the copy of Catapult, Overload Fusion, which is really good, and a copy of Brutal Dozer. So this is not a bad hand at all, because you can do something very simple with this hand, like go ahead and activate your copy of Terraforming, which will grab your copy of Gear Town from the deck. Once you grab that Gear Town, you're really set because you have a lot of potential with the Gear Town that you can just immediately activate your copy of Gear Town on your side of the field, activate the Catapult. The Catapult will target the Gear Town and pop both of these, which you always want to chain block your opponent by hitting the copy of Gear Town as Chainlink 1, and then the copy of Catapult is Chainlink 1, and then the Gear Town is Chainlink 2 to special summon, because it's going to resolve that way. Because it's going to resolve, you're going to pop this, and then this is going to chain to this effect as it's going, and you're going to get to special summon off the Gear Town first, which is going to special summon out a Wyvern, which the Wyvern will get you a search onto your hand, which will get you a copy of Gearbox, or if you want to just get a copy off of this. But you're going to go ahead and resolve it like this instead. So I would go ahead and just special summon out a copy of either Ultimate Pound or Gear Golem. It doesn't really matter. I like summoning Gear Golem for nostalgia purposes. I just think it's super cool to be able to summon Gear Golem. It just is really neat. But at this point, you can use your copy of your Wyvern to search your deck for another monster. I would always probably search out a copy of my Hunting Hound, because the Hunting Hound you can use to fusion summon at this point. because you can normal summon it out and you have 4 monsters in your hand that you can just immediately go for a Chaos Giant, and plus you have that Overload Fusion, so guess what? You have more plays going there. So, now that you resolve that copy of Catapult, you can just go ahead, and you haven't normal summoned yet. You've only special summoned these off your copies of your spells, which is your Catapult and your Gear Town. So now you can normal summon out that copy of Hunting Hound, and then you can use the Hunting Hound to burn your opponent for 600. Then you can use the gear, or you can use the copy of your Hunting Hound with your extra monster that's in your hand, because this card's effect is that if this card is normal summon, you can inflict 600 points of damage to your opponent, and then you can fusion summon 1 Ancient Gear monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or your field as materials. So I can fusion summon using all 4 of these monsters in my hand and immediately summon out a copy of Chaos Giant, which is another really awesome card. And the reason you play this card at 2 is because the off chance that you actually do draw into the Overload Fusion, because then you can do this. You can pass with just a field like this and hope your opponent can't get rid of the Chaos Giant, and then once they go again, you can drop the Overload Fusion if they do get rid of this one by some means, like a Utopia double or something like that. You have the backup Overload Fusion to banish all these cards from the graveyard to go into your second copy of Ultimate, or the copy of the Chaos Giant, which is really cool because it has the ability that this card can attack all monster your opponent controls once each, and it attacks the defense position monster and inflicts piercing, and also has the ability that it's unaffected by all spells and traps, and your opponent's monsters cannot activate their effects during the battle phase at all. This card's really good to be able to put on your side of the field because you can use the Overload Fusion. Right now, if you wanted to use the Overload Fusion and go ahead and hit all 4 of these right here, and then immediately special summon out from your extra deck your second copy of Chaos Giant, which is going to be super nice to get out on your side of the field, because then you have both Chaos Giants to just OTK your opponent. So let's go ahead and do one more test hand and see what we can actually pull off in this particular deck, because that's pretty cool, all those different plays that we've actually pulled off. So let's see what we can actually do. So we're going to go ahead and shuffle this up really quick and see what we can get. So we're going to shuffle this up right here and see what we can actually pull off. So that's pretty cool that you can summon 2 Ancient Gear Giants like that, and I actually got to show you guys how you can summon both those Ancient Gear Giants just by having that Overload Fusion in your hand is really nice. And the Hunting Hound is like literally one of my favorite cards in this entire deck. It's really, 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 really cool. So let's see what we can actually pull off in this particular test hand for the last round. So for the last round, we're going to go ahead and draw into a Express Train, Catapult, Wyvern, Golem, and a copy of Fusion. So this is really, really, really good because you get out the copy of Chaos Giant with this particular hand. Go ahead and normal summon out that copy of Wyvern to your side of the field. The Wyvern will trigger and let you literally search whatever you want. I would probably go ahead and grab right out of the deck. I would go ahead and grab the Gearbox, because the Gearbox can trigger and search you a monster from your deck that has less than 500 attack or 500 defense. It's either or. So you could really add from your deck to your hand, since you already have the Super Express Train. You don't need it. But you could add your copy of Gear Frame from your deck to your hand, which is going to help you out quite a lot to be able to have just an additional monster on your side of the field. Or you could actually use the copy of your Wyvern to search out a copy of your Gear Fortress, which would get you another monster on your side of the field as well. You can only use the copy of this on your side of the field if you control like a actually, that's what I probably would do. I'd probably add the Fortress from my deck to my hand so I could get an additional. Well, no, I'd probably go here. I would probably go here and then pass with this particular hand, because you can't really do all that much more. You could go for a copy of Ancient Gear Fusion, and you could fusion summon all 4 of these away if you wanted to fusion summon all 4 of these away to go for your Chaos Giant, or you could special summon out your copy of your Train, and then once you summon the Train, you could link these 2 together and go for a copy of your Ballista, because it just takes 2 Ancient Gear monsters, which is going to help you out quite a lot. I'd probably go for that route instead, because you're going to get the Ballista and you're only down 1 Ancient Gear monster. You went 1 for 1 on your Ancient Gear monsters. Then this will search your copy of Gear Town, and if your opponent does get rid of your Ballista on your side of the field, you can just use your copy of Catapult, or if you're going second, you can pop your Gear Town, send it to the graveyard, and get a Reactor Dragon, which is another play that you can do. You could pass with this particular field if you want to go here, and then when you pass, you draw draw for turn, next turn. If they do get this card off the field, then you have some really nuts plays that you can go Catapult, pop both of these on your side of the field. Remember, resolve the copy of Gear Town first, which the Gear Town would special summon out a copy directly from your deck of your Wyvern, which would get you a search. You could then special summon out off the Gear Town or the Catapult the copy of the Ultimate Ancient Gear Goal or the Ultimate Pound, and then you'd shuffle the deck really quick. And then once you have a field like this, you have the Ultimate Pound and you have all these Ancient Gears in your hand that you can use your copy of your Ancient Gear Fusion, and if you're using Ultimate Pound, you can fusion summon using monsters from your deck as well. But you didn't get your search off of the Wyvern, which could get you another copy of your Ancient Gear, could get you another Ancient Gear monster from your deck to your hand, which is going to be really nice. The copy of your Hunting Hound, I would probably normal summon, and then once you normal summon out the Hunting Hound, inflict the 600 points of damage to your opponent, use the Ancient Gear Fusion, use it on this, target this monster on your side of the field, send from your deck to the graveyard any Ancient Gear monsters that you don't need. At this point, it doesn't matter because you're going to OTK your opponent. Go ahead and send the Reactor Dragon, send this to the graveyard, and then actually what I probably would do is I'd probably use these two with the Ancient Gear Fusion, use these three and summon my Megaton onto my side of the field using the 3 Ancient Gear monsters, and then I would use the Hunting Hound with these 3 or these 4 right here, and then immediately go for a copy of my Chaos Giant, and then you end with a field like this. 3 attacks with this, 1 attack with this. This can attack every single monster. This can do 9,900 direct damage to your opponent, and then you have the 17 on top of it. So you have game there. So that's it for this test hand, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really, really, really good deck. I really enjoy this deck to play around with. It's super, super, super fun to play around with, and it's really easy to learn because basically you're just trying to get 4 monsters to fusion summon away for this, or get an Ancient Gear monster with gear, get an Ancient Gear Golem on your side of the field, or an Ultimate Pound with Ancient Gear Fusion on your side of the field to really go off, so you can put 3 into Megaton and go off. So that's it for the test hands, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell in there so you can come part of our notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.